Okay, it shows that it's live streaming over here. So we're working on the kinks a little at that point. So I'm going to try to send a link to a friend of mine to see if he can join in. And like I said, we're going to try our best to kind of work everything out because this is different even for me for it. So we'll see. So that all being said, while I invite someone to the link, welcome everybody to the new kind of ish redo of the channel at this point. I'm kind of like working on renaming the channel and kind of like rebranding it at this point. In short, I kind of really missed live streaming, and I've really missed working on OU football. So I kind of want to start doing this again for it, as well as I have other projects I want to work on and other things that I want to do. So that all being said, let me see if I can get this going so I can send this to a buddy of mine. I'm going to send it in so he can join in at this point. So I'm going to try and see what I can do. Let me see. Going to also do this. This one's probably going to be the most boring video y'all will have in the beginning, easily, with trying to figure out like, let's see. That's the right password. Nope, that's not the right password. Nope, that's not the right password either. Ever had it where you're just like have a password that you're wanting to work on, and then all of a sudden it's just does not work? I think I've had that problem a whole lot. All right, let's see if this will work. All right, I sent that message to Gavin, and I think he's joining in. Now I'm trying to see if I can get Sean in as well. Gavin, can let's see. Can you hear me now, Gavin? Gavin, if you are trying to speak, I can.
All right. Hey, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Perfect. All right. I'm going to try to send a link to Sean at that point. Let's see.
Okay.
All right. Can you still hear me from my side?
Yeah, I can still hear you.
Okay. I was getting feedback from my other one because I have stuff kind of going on the other side as well. So I just wanted to make sure for that. So it's funny that I guess my headset was so like well that it picked up some of the other stuff with me saying it, because I thought people were gonna not hear me when I realized my headset wasn't on. So I'm gonna send that, and then I was kind of explaining to people that this is gonna be probably the first 5 boring minutes of the stuff, because we're kind of working out the kinks for the first live stream and kind of going.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I kind of figured as much so too. It's sort of kind of like getting our feet wet just a little bit in a sense.
Correct.
So, sort of what to expect.
Correct. And like I said, I'm trying to get Sean in, and I'm also trying to get my buddy Josh in as well. So because he has tickets and everything like that as well, and goes to the football games. So we can the goal is going to be tonight, Gavin, by the way. I have my notes and stuff right here, but I know I have a lot of topics, but I'm also wanting to leave time and stuff kind of for whatever people want to talk about and everything. So also, Gavin, my bud, how have you been?
Oh, been doing all right. Although all the last week I had pink eye of all things, which was sort of crazy and everything. Never had it before, but it's all gone. So
is it pink eye or is it crimson eye? Yeah, I know. You're probably watching this is going, Josh, delete. All
right. Yeah. Funny thing is that I had no idea how I got it. So, that's still a mystery, and I'll probably still never figure it out. So yeah. Other than that, getting ready for announcing softball again pretty much soon next month. So that's going to be exciting. Make a little extra cash there, and I've also just been kind of keeping an eye on like high school football across the state for the most part as well. So just sort of seeing like going on. In fact, been trying to keep an eye on that Williams kid over at BTW right here.
I'm not familiar with him, but then again, that's my weakness is recruiting, because everyone is like really on the point with recruiting. And for me, I'm like, oh, cool. I know about it when it's already done. Awesome.
Yeah. Well, funny thing is that I kind of keep an eye with like some of the recruits and everything that's going on. I know that they got another kid that was over in BA. They just signed him. We got another kid out of Deer Creek, who was one of the targets that I think we're going to talk about tonight as well, though, too. He was also signed as well as the kid from Bishop Gorman, though, too, which beat out Alabama and Michigan, which is a huge win for that as well.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, they're making some strides at this point. I mean, I feel like it's the first time in many, many, many years where I feel like that OU is very much their reload.
So that's my only little tidbit, though, right now. But I will say I've just been kind of looking at everything. Like, I think OU, from mostly top to bottom, is probably going to be the best overall team in a standpoint, because they have that experience coming back. And I guess you could say Iowa State's like a good second or third coming into that as well.
I'd probably put
kind of looking from, just from an overall standpoint. I mean, second in the Big 12, of course, but I could just sort of see that as a, from more of a collective overall standpoint, with a lot of experience coming back. I think the one key figure for me right now is that secondary right now, because, you're losing Norwood, you're losing Brown, two experienced corners right there. And, that's going to probably change up. And you're also going to have to put in a new nickel in as well, since Riley Hiles is going to be out as well, though, too. So that's going to be very interesting to see.
But with Grinch and stuff at the helm at this point, I have not had any points where I felt like Grinch was the wrong person. So even though we're missing those individuals, I think we're going to be good at those positions.
Yeah.
Now, that being said, I want to see. I'm more worried about the O-line at this point, because we lost a lot of them.
Yeah, well, luckily though, like with Wayne Morris, the transfer coming in from Tennessee, who was very highly recruited, though, he's actually going to be pretty good. Graham, I know, is going to be probably filling in where Creed is at this point, and I can sort of, and seeing him from the spring game, I know it's just a spring game and everything, but they're sort of putting him where Creed used to be at right now. So I think if anything, I think the O-line, it's not going to be as like where it has been in the past couple of years, though, but it's still going to be sort of in that solid standpoint.
Yeah, I agree with. Yeah, I agree with you. I think at this point the O-line is going to be one of those where it's going to be a work in progress, but I think they'll get everything worked out by Nebraska at this point. Like, it always seems like it takes them about the first two games, and we kind of have the perfect schedule to let them like get a feel for the field and playing the game and everything like that. So
yeah, I can just sort of see that more than anything else too. And I've been actually just kind of been going through sort of a lot of different things. In fact, I've actually have been even looking up like like the release and everything from like Phil Steele himself and everything. I counted like I would say probably, what was it? Like, I think 4 teams out of the Big 12 that's in the top 25.
For his top 25 or the preseason, that's kind of been going around.
Well, the one that Phil Steele released, though.
Yeah. I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, kind of.
It's kind of hard with that graphic. You're gonna have to change the graphic, man.
But this is the best one. That was the best seats I ever got at OU Texas.
I know it is, but it's like when you hold it up though, and it kind of cancels out the color. So.
This is why we can't have the nice things. Why we can't
exactly.
Have the nice things. Fun fact.
This is what. Yeah.
Actually, really fast. Let me get my drink really fast.
Okay, I'm gonna need to get one too. So.
Okay, I'll be right back. All right, I am back. I've got my drink. If we're going to be talking all hour, I realized, I probably should get some water, guys.
Okay, I'm coming. Hang on. Sorry about that. I was just getting me a drink as well. Had to go to the fridge.
Oh, you're fine. I had to get mine, and I was like, oh, with us talking, I realized we got to have something for it. But fun fact for viewers who don't know it, and I don't even know if Gavin knows it, that is actually the best seats that I've ever gotten at OU Texas. It was during either my junior or my senior year of college. And for those of y'all that don't know, when you apply for season tickets, you can get into the OU Texas tickets. They have the face values for them and everything like that, but you really don't know where you're going to sit. At least with OU at the OU Stadium, you have the student sections and everything like that. But for that, you just get random seats essentially, right? So I remember going and picking up the tickets, and I went in and I was like, oh, let's see, blah, 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 row this. And I had to take a look. I was like, oh, these are 50-yard line seats, row 25. I gave my dad a call who's had his season tickets for almost like 60, 70 years. And he went, I've had these tickets for this long and I've never even had those seats. That's not cool, man. That's not cool. So
I'm still eating my barbecue sandwich. I'm almost done, kind of.
Oh, that's fine. Hey, Sean.
That's fine.
I'll turn my video on when I'm not like eating like a ravage,
like a savage.
Like a savage is what I meant to say.
Yeah.
It's Sunday night. Listen, my brain hurt. Are we like streaming live somewhere?
Yeah, we're streaming on YouTube.
Okay.
As far as I'm aware, it's showing up that we're streaming.
Okay. All I'm going to say is like I just spent like an hour and a half with like it ended with a ceasefire. Let's put it that way.
Oh, are you referring to the thing?
Yeah. Let's just end it there.
Yeah. That's unfortunate.
Never. Well, it's better than a ceasefire. It's more of like an outline for a treaty that we've agreed to terms on. Let's put it that way.
It's an agree to disagree. We'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
We'll leave it at that.
Respect was earned. Let's put it that way.
Exactly. And
for me, of all people.
But shocking. I'll put it this way for viewers watching right now, if we have any viewers watching, with all three of us, we've all worked in some capacity of like sports, in the sports industry. So we kind of know like the ins and outs kind of a little bit with it. So we sometimes have to respond to people. So anyway, Sean, we were talking about recruiting, and Gavin was bringing up like some of the recruits he's watching. And then as well as we were just looking into like the top kind of 25 and then Phil Steele's top 25 that he was mentioning. So you kind of joined in at the right time.
I have yet to get a Phil Steele copy, my copy, and I may never, not because I hate the magazine. It's just that we've gotten to a point in college football where that magazine is almost useless now. Last year's was really useless, but that wasn't Phil's fault. The transfer portal is kind of what makes it kind of useless to have a physical copy. Now he has digital copies, which he says he updates on the reg now, which is a smart business move by him. So I may have to invest in a digital copy of that magazine from now on, because you can update it whenever. I don't know how often he updates it. Maybe he updates it every day, but physical copies of that magazine are all these magazines are not going to be as close to accurate as they want to be from now on.
And
go ahead, Gavin.
I was going to say another point though too, Phil, Sean, like you were saying though too. Another point though too is like, especially with the fact of the transfer portal though too, like how it impacts on recruiting though too within that incoming class though too. It doesn't give like an exact actual representation usually of like who you have that's coming in and everything. So like like how they rank from like 1 to 20, like 1 through 25, in that recruiting class though too. It just would not give that same value, like for example, like with one, like with Morris coming in, that was sort of another deal though too. Same with Gray coming.
Eric Gray and Key Lawrence. So
yes,
I mean, all three of those guys are going to make an impact.
Yeah,
and you don't. I mean, now they're not all like true freshmen or anything, but still, most of those guys are young. I don't. What's Wanya Morris? He's not that high up there. He hasn't been there that long. So
no, all a sophomore.
No, all three of those guys are very young still and will likely make an impact. I mean, Wanya Morris for sure. I mean, Eric Gray for sure. Wanya Morris for sure. I mean, you don't go get those guys unless you're intending for them to like compete for jobs. And I think I don't take spring games too. I don't like account them too much, because there's always kind of like okay, he did well in a spring game, but no, Eric Gray is going to get a lot of playing time.
What do you think he's going to be? Do you think he's going to be first string or second string?
It's hard to argue he wouldn't be based on some of the guys we lost that we thought were coming back.
Oh, those knuckleheads.
We lost 2 running backs. One of them wasn't technically a running back last year. He's not a running back anywhere right now. Neither of them are. I think the Mikey loss is going to be a little overblown. Like, people say, "Oh man, we're losing our H-back," but he wasn't going to play that position unless he just had a come to Jesus moment and was like, "Can I play H-back again? I remember the playbook." But we lost 2 touchdowns last year. When you really break it down to a number, we lost 2 touchdowns. I think we can make that up. I think Jeremiah Hall and Braden Willis and the combination of Stogner, I think we're going to be okay in the H-back tight end department. That's just me. All the guys that we lost of this craziness, it's, there's a handful of guys who think Trajan Bridges was the most talented receiver on the roster. Unfortunately, we're never no. Like that, no. I'm not making fun of these people. They genuinely and I'm not doubting them. We'll never know. But unfortunately, we're just never going to see how that would have played out. But again, wide receiver, I ain't worried about wide receiver. I'm not worried about running back because we have mentioned Trey Bradford, and I'm just going on and on. Forgive me.
Gavin, you mentioned that. Gavin mentioned, I think it was safety and nickel you were worried about.
The 2 spots, I'm not really worried. I just want to see them come together. I want to see the O-line come. We have the talented O-line. I just want to see them become a unit. In my mind, I picture Anton Harrison and Wanya Morris as our bookend tackles, right?
Yeah.
In the middle, Andrew Rame is probably your center, but if he's a guard, I'm not going to complain because you have Chris Murray from UCLA who transferred in, who might play that spot as well. Either or, whatever works best, Beatonbow, whatever works best, I'm fine with. And you got Marquise Hayes as well, who's going to have a breakout year. A lot of people think so. O-line and the secondary, just who's going to play at safety, who's going to play at nickel. Is Justin Harrington going to take someone's job at safety, one of the safety spots? Is he going to play nickel? Is he going to play corner now because people are we're throwing that up against the wall? So I just want to see who are the guys that when kickoff happens, who are the 11 guys who go out in the field? Who are you starting with? Who are your guys? And there's a reason people think, oh, you can win the national title this year, because when you look at all the spots, they think, okay, whatever you have a question mark at, ooh, they got that guy, and they got that guy, or they got that guy. Depth has been built. And so that's why there's excitement. And it's if they don't make the playoff or they don't make the title game this year, it's going to be rough for OU fans everywhere to deal with the fallout. But that's what you play for. You want this type of pressure. If you don't have these expectations, then it means you're still not there yet. And we're going to find out if OU's there yet.
I think the other thing, though, too, Sean, and I want to get to you on this, though, too. And I know that this is going to be one of the biggest issues, though, too. Like the first 3 games are mostly almost basically almost a cupcake non-conference schedule, that we've probably seen in, I don't know,
don't tell Nebraska that. They're ready to come win that game.
Well, when has Nebraska been back though? I mean, that's the other issue. They haven't been back in 4 or 5 years or so.
Well, they didn't have a starting quarterback win a major bowl game and declare to the world they're back yet. So not that kind of back, but
I mean, don't get me wrong. I, have a, special place for Nebraska. In fact, one of the last time OU Nebraska played in Norman was the last time, my dad and I actually it was back in 2014, but we actually went to an OU Nebraska game in 08 though too. So they saw.
Oh yeah, that was a beautiful start to that game. Who got that pick 6 early? Who read it like a?
Oh yes, I know what you're talking about.
Who read it like a book? I forgot who that was. He just as he was winding up, he was already there at the line of scrimmage, just
well, here was the thing. And and I remember this play too, because it was basically it was just a quick check down, because it was one of those run pass options before it became the RPO as we have today and everything.
Joe, not to interrupt you, Joe Gans.
No, that doesn't sound right.
What do you mean, Joe Gans? What?
For the interception, the pick 6 against Nebraska. It says on the game
that's the Nebraska QB.
Oh no, Dominique Franks.
Okay, yeah, that's right. It was Franks.
Yeah. I think if I remember now, Franks is actually, I think, coaching over in Owasso with Blankenship, if I'm not mistaken. So
really, what
yeah.
is he? What coaching position is he?
If I remember, I think he's like a DB coach, if I'm not mistaken. I'll have to double check that and everything. He's just like, it's just like a couple miles from where I live at, though, too. We got
a lot of former players being coaches. Got DeMarco at OU. We got Seth Luttrell at North Texas, and Tennessee.
If I remember, isn't Isaac like an assistant coach somewhere now? Like Isaac Stoops.
I think
That's a good question.
I don't remember off the top of my head. I don't vaguely remember that.
I somehow remember from what I'm getting at, and I kind of looked through OK Prep, so too, like, I think it was like not with Mustang, but like I think it was like either with Moore. I think it was with Moore, but I'll have to double check on that and everything else though too. But he definitely kind of has that, in his dad's blood though too, if anything. But I just kind of going through all of that and everything. But anyway, let's get. I'm getting back to the back.
Well, really fast, Gavin. You mentioned coaches. The only one I knew of, and it's not a major college position, but I know Javon Harris, an old classmate of mine. He now coaches defensive coordinator, and he's head track coach at Carter Riverside High School in Fort Worth. It seems like a lot of them are doing high school.
Javon Harris, man.
Yeah,
so many names that are just like whoa.
Things you wouldn't expect coming back. Yeah,
I think everyone has that period in their life where they know, like, they memorize most of the roster from the year they start watching. Well, maybe not the year, but like when they really start getting into football, and the roster, like the starting 22 for the most part. And then as years go by, your memory fades, and then all of a sudden you hear Javon Harris, like, that guy played defensive back. I remember him.
Hey, don't forget the other one, my other classmate, Dominique Whaley.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say though, he was there for that 1 year at 2011, wasn't he?
And 12.
Man, if he didn't get that spaghetti injury, I mean,
he was the greatest walk-on player at OU till a certain someone else came along.
Oh yeah, can't forget about Baker. Yeah.
So
typical Baker Mayfield, stealing the spotlight from people more deserving than him, or less fortunate is what I was looking for.
He's stealing it from local kid Sean.
He is a backwards hat kind of guy.
Yeah.
But you were back to what you were saying though about recruiting and things like that, Gavin.
Yeah. So I was just trying to say though too, like I think from what I was just talking about was just like with the just like with the whole accumulation, that was just sort of my whole issue though too, because it won't give like a whole representation at the whole. I think if anything, if you count in those transfers and everything, I can maybe say like what they got like right there probably would be easily top 5, maybe top 3 at best, because with that sort of impact of what they have and everything, and with some of the players that they lose and all that, I mean, that it's kind of hard for me to justify and say, oh, we don't really count that or anything that's top 10 because we only count the kids and everything. It's like, you kidding me with all that other talent and everything that comes in, man, that's like, puts it to where you're really going to undervalue, how you're putting in that sort of points and everything.
And who's gotten 4 legitimate blue chip 4 stars in 1 year?
Exactly. Yeah.
Like someone will get a splash, like, oh, we got this one guy. It's like, whoa, big splash. It's like, oh, you got 4. So that's I mean, people rank Eric Gray, like, there's like the list, like Eric Gray is the number 1 transfer. I'm like, I hope so. I really do. I hope it turns out to be that. But I got 2 running.
That's something you mentioned too, Sean, with Eric Gray. Do you think he was the most important transfer for us to pick up because of our running backs losing him?
I mean, probably. It's to be determined, but with your running back room and like people have been asking me, I guess I can turn this on now. If it'll let me. Turn on. Play, dang it. There we go. Okay.
And he has arrived, everybody.
Yeah.
I'll move over this way. All right, let's see. Where am I looking at? Okay. Well, your running back room is basically Kennedy Brooks hasn't played in a year, not due to injury, but he, COVID, he's like, he bowed out because of COVID and he had family issues you want to take care of, which is totally understandable. And who else you got? Marcus Major and other guys like TJ Pledger transferred. So I was going to say
Major was still there, isn't he?
No, he is still there. I'm talking about TJ Pledger transferred.
Okay. Yes. Okay.
But people have been asking me like, hey, maybe you can make a hype video, right? You're going to make a hype video. I'm like, yeah, I could probably make a hype video. And I really stopped to think about it. And it's like, I'm going to have like almost no running back highlights outside of like Marcus Major because everyone else is gone.
Yeah.
When you think about it, like there's no Kennedy Brooks highlights. I mean, I could dig out some Kennedy Brooks highlights from years past, I guess. Can't use Eric Gray. He's in a Tennessee uniform. I mean, I could maybe try to maybe I can. Well, I guess I could use some spring game footage.
Yeah, and I mean, a spring game would probably be the way to go, though. If I was edit all that.
But it's just, running back room is the most important, and not to mention, it's not just getting the transfers. Kind of like DeMarco is, I was willing to give DeMarco a COVID pass based on everything, and if things play out like we think they can, DeMarco's going to get at least 2 big time blue chip guys for this year. And we're already getting ready for next year because Trayon Webb is leaning OU and will commit in a few weeks or in a week, I should say. So that's another big pickup. We'll be seeing Yamaha all over Twitter soon.
Do you think that's a lot of the NIL stuff that they're starting to sway towards more of the bigger schools where their names and stuff will be worth more?
Listen, you're gonna get me on a rant here, and I'm not yelling at you. I'm yelling to you. So I just want to I'm trying to be better because over the years of my social media presence or whatever, there are times where I've intended to yell to people and not at people. And that's where people tend to hate me. I can be very loud and obnoxious. I admit that. So this is my rant. So I'm yelling to you as a conversation, not yelling at you. So I just want to make that clear. Because I've had a long conversation about this already. NIL is not going to be that big of a factor right away. I mean, listen, is it going to make an impact? Absolutely. But guys are not picking Oklahoma for NIL. I don't think you're going to see guys pick schools for NIL. Like if that's going to become a big trend, like a really, really big, where that becomes number one for someone, I think it's going to be years before you see that, percolate or whatever. Yeah. If you're a quarterback, you're thinking about Lincoln Riley is going to be on your list. If there's a spot for you and you're in that sweet spot of every other year, you get 2 years out of a quarterback, he goes pro, 2 years out of a quarterback, he goes pro. If you're in that sweet spot and you're a 5-star, Lincoln Riley is putting quarterbacks in the NFL. Like, you're not going to go to Oklahoma State because their NIL is better. You want to go to the league. And the guy who's putting the quarterbacks in the league right now is Lincoln Riley. And guess where you're going to get more money? The league. Guess where you're going to get more, sponsorships once you get to the league? Lincoln Riley's going to get that to you if you're a first round draft pick. That's what, people are going to go to the SEC schools. People are going to go to Alabama, Ohio State, and so forth, or Clemson or LSU for the same reasons a bunch of other guys have. It's not going to be an immediate impact. Listen, is there going to be a guy who's like, yeah, I'm going to East Carolina because they have this sweet NIL deal? You're going to see some outliers, I promise you. And people are going to point to that and say that's the norm now. It's like, no, it's not the norm. That's the outlier. So are people picking Oklahoma? Listen, everyone can do NIL now. It's not just a Power 5 thing. It's like, if you have the boosters who can set something up, wink, wink, it's going to happen. But again, I stick with the idea or that unless you're like a Spencer Radler or a Tim Tebow or a Johnny Manziel, those guys can make some serious money. But people are pointing to the whole Miami thing. Oh my God, it's the end of the sport. They're going to get $6,000. I got more than $6,000 going to Full Sail.
Yeah.
For Pell Grant money. And my housing I got from the VA. They got $6,000. Me too. You don't see a gold chain around my neck or whatever.
Well, that's because you're not close enough to Miami right now.
I'm close enough. Closer than you two.
That's true.
That's fair. That is fair.
But
I want to bring this up though too, Sean, because you bring up another point though, especially like with Miami though too. The other programs I'm also kind of think about this though too is like especially with like USC or Ohio State, being close with Cleveland and everything else though too. It's going to be very interesting, within the NIL though too. Like it's almost going to make it to where it's almost like where not only they're going to play and everything, but kind of have like sort of those like that business deals on the side though, or something like that though too. I know there's going to be some rules and stuff and everything, but it's going to be where I think it's going to be very interesting. Like you're going to want them to sort of have that sort of like where it kind of creates that sponsorship before they go to the league and that sort of stuff as well.
I mean,
something.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say my own feelings aside with NIL, because I'm a bitter college student back in the day, I would say to me, the NIL is not going to come into play at all until we see what restrictions there's going to be with it. Because right now it's just
there are already restrictions.
West.
I mean,
yeah.
you can't
wow.
I mean, at Oklahoma, you can't sign with, if you're a player, you can't sign a deal with Nike because you're a Nike school.
Correct.
So like those everyone's kind of, for the most part, universally accepted that. Like, we're a Nike. Okay. Because they don't want to have conflicting competition. They want, it's like, you can do Reebok for you, not in your OU gear. Like, you look at Spencer Rattler, if you go to his like shop page, he's in like a red helmet or red jersey, but with no logos. So when he's advertising him, he can be in a football uniform with the OU colors, but no OU logos.
So that's interesting. You mentioned Reebok, and I'm going to have to do more research on it. But my understanding,
or Adidas or whatever. Does Reebok still exist?
I mean more in general. Like when you mentioned like the Nike stuff, my understanding is with the schools, when they say that, they can't go out and make another deal with another company like that because they already have a prior contract in place with it. So Radler couldn't do a, let's say,
so Nike, they couldn't do another shoe deal, regardless.
Right? Right.
I mean, that's fine. I mean, for me, it's not like it affects me. Like, boy, some people sure act like it affects them on the internet. Boy, there are so many, like, what I love, and I'm trying not to make fun of people, but there are so many people out there that come up with these doomsday scenarios. Like, they literally sit up at night and think about how this could all go wrong. And I just want to pat these people on the head and tell them it's going to be all right. Like, to be fair,
I'm one of those, in the sense of I want to see how they go more mainstream with stopping like the boosters just doing.
Josh, let me pat you on the head and tell you everything's going to be all right. All
right. What? No doom and gloom?
Because there's some of you out there who pretend that the boosters don't do shitty stuff already. They do, and they will continue to do so till the end of time. Like, just because a little bit of it is more out in the open, like, you turn the lights on and the roaches are scattering. Like, we're going to see that, and it's going to make some people uncomfortable. But listen, how many documentaries have been made about schools cheating? 30 for 30s. Come on.
To be fair, even I think our own documentary even was like, Bud had kind of a slush fund to the side, but we're not going to talk about that.
Bud Wilkinson had a slush fund. Bud Wilkinson was a cheating SOB, and God bless him for it.
And let's not forget, I was going to say, what about the whole Boz situation though, too? Remember,
Boz would have made a fortune. Are you kidding me?
I know.
All those little Boz, like people sold the Boz little plastic heads you could wear with the like. God, he would have made them like. He probably actually made some money underneath the table. But like, come on, like, don't sit here and tell, like, Boz was like, because of injuries, Boz flopped as an NFL player, but boy, was he making money in endorsements early on.
Yeah. There was, like, if I remember, believe it or not, and I'm just saying this was like a true story.
Right guard, sports stick, anything less. We uncivilized.
It was like, I remember this on the 30 for 30, that they basically sold all these, like
hate Boz shirts,
in Denver, and and they basically made a fortune. He made a fortune doing all of that.
And he was the head of the company.
Which I thought that was a real ingenious move on his part.
Yeah, I hate you, Boz. He just looks up at the stand, sees that shirt, and just smiles like.
Do not forget, and I don't know who it was, but don't forget, Catholics versus convicts. They were making the T-shirts and stuff too.
Oh yeah, can't forget that 88 game.
I for a little side note, I got early access to that 30 for 30 when I worked at the radio station down here.
Nice.
Because we interviewed the director and he gave all of us a link on a Venmo. No, Vimeo, not Venmo. Venmo would be nice.
I think
I got my V word switched up. But no, we got like a private link, and I hooked up a Miami friend of mine. Hey, if you want to watch a documentary, here's a link. Don't tell anyone. Don't share this to anyone. Like you could easily rip those. Like Vimeo is one of the easiest places to rip video from, because it's like it's not as well. It's just the way it's coded. But anyway, point is, I remember watching that thing and laughing my ass off because, like, the the clutching of pearls, the Puritan, like Notre Dame's like, you can't sell a T-shirt like that. You can't have Catholics versus convicts. That's against school code. And it's like nowadays, it's like, you know how many awful T-shirts you see sold on the side of the road, like, or some of those like OU Texas. I saw some really like, what were those like really ugly fan shirts where, you got dogs humping other dogs, SEC fans, or like I made your girl scream boomer sooner last night. It's like those are way worse when it comes to like Catholics versus convicts. So tame by today, like some of the shirts I see nowadays.
It's funny you mentioned that because you're like by the side of the road. I'm like, man, there's some just on Campus Corner at some of the main stores.
Yeah, it's just you can get away a lot more in 2021. I remember like that guy, I think, hit up my channel way back in the day when I was like a young channel. I said, hey man, will you promote my T-shirts? And I didn't respond to him. I just looked at his website and saw the T-shirts. Like, these are horrible and ugly. It's like it's like, no, I would never wear these shirts. I would never promote this. This is terrible. And I had way lower standards way back then. This is like 2009, 2010 era me. And I'm like, even like I was like way worse and way more just awful when it comes to like content and various different ways. Like, and even that version of me was like, I could never wear that shirt. I have standards. I barely shaved, had like awful hair, and had a purple and silver walls behind me. It's like, come on now.
Oh, we're going to the classic. We're going to the Bronze Age.
I had my K-State wall, as I called it.
Oh, don't get me started with Kansas State, man. They've been a headache, for me the last 2 years, man.
Look, it's just our turn to have problems with K-State. Texas had problems with K-State for many years, and now it's our turn.
The problem is Texas, don't know how to develop, if anything. That's been their problem.
Oh, gosh, Texas. I mean, to be fair, I would rather take this Kansas than the other Kansas, but that's me. I mean, did you see that article, speaking of Kansas and Kansas State, that came out? I think it was either today or yesterday.
Was it the issue with Les Miles again?
Yeah, the stuff that never ends. Never ends.
Then again, it's like we've been down this rabbit hole before, and it's going into another rabbit hole. That's phenomenal.
I think it's incredible with Les how just it never ends. It's like it just seems like every year, there's something new, and it's outrageous. The next year, here's another thing. When is the stories going to end? Is it going to be 5 years from now, 10 years before finally everybody's exhausted with these scandals with Les? Who knows with it? But bro has problems.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he ain't coaching there anymore, thankfully. I mean, it's not like he's out of a job like because of it. He's just out of a job because maybe he knew that was coming and he got out of Dodge. I read that thing this morning. I'm just like, okay. And I don't know what happened. Like, there's some people who think like, we don't know what really happened, so we shouldn't assume. It's like something clearly happened for a guy to like drop playing at a Power 5 school and go back home to West Virginia because he's scared for his life. The only thing about that thing that post, that article, that we never really got like a story of like, so how did this all begin? We never really got that part of the story, but at the same time, it's like I don't think this is being made up. Like, someone's like, loosening the lugs on your tire. That could fly off if you're on the highway, or a bunch of dudes like knocking on your door, kicking down your door and like threatening you. It's like, I believe some of this really happened, I mean, I think the context of what started this, it could be something very petty and stupid that started it, or maybe the dude, did or said something that ticked off a bunch of other guys on the team. I don't know. It could be something stupid in practice. Hey, you hit me too hard in practice or whatever. Whatever it is, I don't think that guy deserved that kind of harassment unless he like murdered or killed someone or.
Well, let's be honest. No one does. Like you mentioned, I think they just assume like it's Les. We don't need to say how this started. That's what makes it even worse.
It's not even about Les. It's just like I'm like Les was the first thing from my mind. I'm just like, it's like I feel for this dude, but like ask the question. So where did this begin? Like who did what? Who said what? We didn't really have names. It was very vague at times. We didn't have actual names of people who. There were 4 players on the defense. Like, and I do find it funny that this goes back to 2017 before Les got there. And I put 2 and 2 together. It's like, the Kansas defense were a little bit rough and were bending the rules of the game against OU the day Baker grabbed his crotch. And putting two together there seems to pan out just a tad. Makes a little sense, you ask me. Just a tad.
It's just a weird situation all around with it, and I'm glad it's not at my school. I'll just put it that way.
Don't worry, something happens at every school at something. Like we've had our stupid stuff already this year, thankfully. So hopefully we've gotten it out of our system.
Hey, the good part though is even with all the dumb stuff that we've done this year, we did not win the Fulmer Cup. They retired it before we had an opportunity to win.
I was about to say I was disappointed the Fulmer Cup doesn't seem to be active anymore. I was kind of looking forward to see where we ranked. I was listen, this team needs at least one championship this year. Come on now.
Yeah, we could have gone for the Grand Slam, but no, they had to quit.
If you're doing well the Fulmer Cup, you might be winning a national title.
Yeah. I mean, you're not wrong. Why, if I recall, why did they quit it? Wasn't it they just felt bad for like reporting on the actual?
I have no idea. I just took it for granted that I was always going to be there. Boy, you want to hear people got mad at me for saying got to get those Fulmer Cup points. People got mad. I was like, what? It's a joke. Chill.
You mentioned.
I would just say that. It's like it's a Fulmer. It's. There's a lot of sensitive people out there.
They're just disappointed that we're not in the runnings for the Fulmer Cup. That's really what it is.
I am, yeah.
You mentioned some of the NIL stuff as well with it. It just came to me. Who do you think in the past would have been able to cash in like for a
We already mentioned Boz.
Yeah, we did.
I mean, no one's gonna top him. I mean, Baker would have certainly, but
Baker, I would probably say too. I'm just trying to think of who else too.
And not just OU, just in general, like any player.
Oh, gosh, I was gonna say like some of the players in Miami would have benefited, like the 70s and 80s Miami's, like like the OGU days, like back in that day, if anything else too. In fact, I'm just trying to think if I remember, like Michael Irvin, I can think of though too as well. He was in that running as well though too.
I just Michael Irvin in college.
Well, maybe not Michael Irvin college, but
here's the thing about college. Like we said the Boz because you just look at his whole time there, but like there are very, very few guys. Like this kind of goes back to my thing that everything's gonna be okay. Big companies are not going to spend a lot of money that people are imagining on some of these players.
Yeah, especially with kids that are in college though, that still haven't had like a full sense of.
Yeah, it wouldn't be smart. Like this is kind of why I wish college basketball. I wish they had a similar setup like the NFL does with college football, where. And people would scream at this, and because they would hate it. But I wish there was like a 3-year removed from high school rule in college basketball. It would help the sport greatly, especially now with NIL. Like, could you imagine if LeBron James actually went to Ohio State, played 3 years, all the hype he got? Like, he would have gotten paid. So, but like. You barely get a chance to get attached to anyone. It's like Trae Young. Trae Young was great for the Hawks this year. Almost took them to the finals.
Yeah.
But at OU, we got like half a season of good Trae Young, and then they kind of like, whimpered they kind of limped their way to the tournament.
13 out of 15, if I'm not mistaken.
Probably undeservingly so in the tournament, if you ask me. And because I was like, this team doesn't deserve to go. Okay, they're there. Oh, one and done.
I mean, to be fair, though, it was because once they figured out how to do Trae Young,
he was the whole team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just guard the little guy who could shoot from half court.
Oh, now that you mentioned the whole NIL, there was another name, Reggie Bush, though. Back in the day,
he was already getting paid.
Yeah, even if he was,
give Reggie his Heisman back. No. He was the best player on the field. He still cheated. Screw him.
Yeah. That's funny. I had that asked to me, and I was like, guys, here's what it boils down to is Reggie still cheated. And at the end of the day, the stuff that he cheated on was still illegal to this day. So
no. There's that. But let me say this. I don't care that he cheated. That's fine. He got caught. Deal with it.
Yeah.
Everyone cheats. Like everyone says, oh, you say everyone cheats. Where's the proof? Everyone cheats. Okay. There are OU players right now who are cheating right now with payments. Someone's getting paid at OU. All right. Let's just I'm not going to name names, but just assume someone's getting paid at OU. That's not named Lincoln Riley and his coaching staff. If they get caught, sucks to be them. Or I'm about to say something else, but I'm not going to. I'm trying to be a better me. All right. Got to go on another rant, but I stopped myself. I pulled that emergency brake, was going to name drop something, but I stopped myself because that's the type of guy I am tonight. I'm holding back a little bit. But my point is, you got caught. Deal with it.
It's no different than Jim Tressel with the golden pants and the
see, that's bullcrap. I agree with that one was just stupid. You guys beat Michigan. Here's your little golden pants that we hand out to everybody because that's the tradition, right?
Right.
The golden pants that Dr. Drop Your Pants would do at Michigan with the doctor and molest all the Michigan players. But anyway, no one knows that story. It's so sad. 800 victims of sexual assault and nobody is covering it outside of Detroit. Anyway, the point is they sold their little gold pants. Here's your gold pants. You should be able to do whatever you want with them, right? We'll give you these gold pants for tats. And you wanted to punish them. And they kind of sort of punished them, but they let them play in the Sugar Bowl anyway, which was hilarious. And they still beat Arkansas when Arkansas should have won that game. Really hilarious. But what got Tressel fired was because he got caught lying to the NCAA. It wasn't about the scandal. They got emails of him saying one thing and him saying another publicly. That's what got him fired. See, if you get caught lying to the NCAA, that's what happens. So,
yeah. Well, and backtracking really fast, you mentioned the thing about the 800 people from Michigan.
Nobody's talking about that. It drives me insane.
No. Why do you think people aren't? Because that, to me, when that broke, that was a big deal, and then it felt like it was very much swept under the rug.
There were 40 people a couple weeks back who held a press conference in front of the big house and added to the list of people. Multiple Michigan football players. Bo Schembechler's son was a victim, but he was adopted. Your point, his son was molested by this doctor. Well, these people are dead. That's another reason they use. Well, Bo Schembechler, the doctor, are dead. So it's there's plenty of other people who are still alive who are culpable. The university needs to take some responsibility. It's imagine if the Joe Pa Sandusky. Imagine if the Joe Pa Sandusky thing wasn't exposed in 2011, but 2041 or 2031. You would still be outraged.
Yeah.
And I think another thing, another layer to this, fair or not, because this is a society thing. Who are the victims? With Michigan State and the Larry Nassar stuff, it was female gymnasts, right? Penn State, young boys. With Michigan, football players. So society, there's plenty of men out there you're a big, strong 18, 19, 20-year-old guy. Why don't you just turn around and punch the doctor and everything? It's because it was the 1970s. And a lot of these guys are young black men in the 1970s who just a few years ago are allowed to play football on that level and not get like, not get the whole anti-civil rights treatment and whatnot. And they're scared for their scholarship if they go against Bo, and God knows what's going to happen to their future. Now, granted, Dr. Anderson went after people of all colors, shapes, and sizes. But like I called up to a Detroit radio station who was talking about it. It's like, how is this not a bigger story? And it's a local thing, and like the blue wall for Michigan exists. It's there. It's not just there. It's at ESPN too. It's also at Fox because it's connected to Harbaugh. You ever notice when you watch like Fox or Colin Cowherd over the past couple of years, like whenever Klatt would come on, every week there was a segment of the college football talk dedicated to Harbaugh.
I thought he was obsessed.
Dedicated to Harbaugh.
Yeah.
Part of it's Harbaugh, but the other part is Michigan, because Michigan drives ratings. Ohio State drives ratings. On a thing that was like people are talking about a certain someone being an Ohio State fan. He's not an Ohio State fan. He's a fan of their clicks, and I'll just leave it at that. Yeah. But like, there's a reason the SEC and the Big Ten get talked about more than anybody. Like, I love OU football, love them to death, but they do not drive the numbers like an Ohio State or the SEC do. They just don't. Period. So with Michigan and this whole ordeal, it's got like there hasn't been a big name come forward yet. I don't know who that's going to be, but like no one at ESPN related to Michigan is like talking about this. Like that whole that press conference I mentioned about the 40 people, it got like a 30-second mention on SportsCenter one night. Quietly forgotten. So one of the biggest sports scandals in history is not being talked about on a regular basis without satisfaction, and with a statue of Bo Schembechler still up at Michigan, by the way. Because they took down Joe Pa's statue very quickly once they found out what went down.
Didn't they put that back up though, or
no, it's not back up.
No, it's not. No,
it's
gone.
That's not coming back.
No, but like Bo Schembechler's name is still on the stadium and everything. Because trust me, if that statue comes down, that makes news.
Yeah.
Like if any of our statues come down for any reason, for if someone digs up some dirt on anybody and we take down one of our 4 statues, that makes news.
Yeah.
Like if Barry Switzer's statue comes down for whatever reason, that gets everyone's attention. Or Bob, or eventually Lincoln Riley, because he better win a championship because we want to give him his damn statue. He's going to win 100 games first. But the point is,
Lincoln Riley statue, it's going around Dallas right now. It's just making its laps.
No, it's the Baker statue. Allegedly.
Oh, Baker.
It's
I'm sorry.
We got 2 statues to put up. We're falling behind. Damn you, COVID.
Hey, we probably have a 3rd statue.
Let's not get ahead of ourselves, all right?
Nah.
You want to talk Heisman? I'll talk Heisman.
There's... let's face it. Like, who else other than Rattler is in the contention for the Heisman at this point?
It's really fast. It's funny you mentioned that because, Sean, when you mentioned the Phil Steele stuff, Phil Steele is all on Spencer Rattler. Like, he's like, there's just nobody else. Like, it's going to be Rattler. He's
preseason guys never win it though. That's what I'm worried about. But his top 3. Well, his top 3 was Rattler, Sam Howell from North Carolina, and then Corral from Ole Miss. No, there's gonna be someone coming out of like every year. Someone comes out of nowhere.
Like, unless you're looking at maybe like the unknowns, like from Clemson, that Clemson quarterback. I can't pronounce.
Ukulele is what I call him.
Yeah, because
ukulele. Ukulele. F me.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, so in all seriousness, all joking aside, here's what Rattler has going for him. If we're gonna say his biggest games are late in the year. So Texas, if it's going to be a big game, in theory, because it's a close game every year since 2014. It's like a 1-score game, regardless of whoever's good or not. Iowa State is at the end of the year, pretty much. If our good friends in Ames cannot lose early like they tend to do, and we're guilty of this as well, but if they can not lose to Iowa and beat them, and we get to Norman, both teams unscathed. Hey. Heisman performance time for one Spencer Rattler. And he gets a bonus because he'll probably play him again in the Big 12 championship and have one more final stamp on his resume while the SEC is having their championship. So if you're the front runner and you put up good numbers in those two games, he needs the stats, he needs those two games, and every Heisman winner's got to have a moment. And I just looked at highlights today of him just throwing passes to Mims, and some of Rattler's throws are just stupid.
Like Mahomes stupid, or
like, no, he just flicks his wrist sometimes. It's so effortless. Like, I'm talking about flicking his wrist off balance across his body. It's stupid how good he is throwing the ball sometimes. And if he can do that this year if the O-line does what I think it can do, and Mims is good, and then you get a brand new toy like Mario Williams to play with out there with his ability as a true freshman. My God, it's gonna be fun to watch.
I think OU is going to be in the top 5 offensively. It's just where they are going to be placed defensively is the question for me.
I accept nothing less than the top 1.
I'll take that any day of the week.
It's a failure if they don't get the no. Like, I think they can have if things go well and Perrin Winfrey doesn't get arrested on the field for murdering someone, I think they can have a top 10 defense. Okay, Perrin can't actually murder someone though. Like, he has to be held back. He needs restrictor plates like in NASCAR to not murder someone.
Yeah, the only time you pretty much put them on is pretty much Talladega and Daytona. So,
I honestly have no idea what restrictor plates do. I just know they're a thing. I know nothing about it.
They basically hold the car back, because if you don't, then it's basically you're going over 200 some miles an hour. So
there you go. It restricts your speed. I probably could have figured that out, but for all I know, could have meant something else. But
we could have put weights on him and slow him down on the field. Make it fair for everybody. Well, my dad asked me about when we were discussing the Heismans and stuff too. He was like, "Well, why wasn't Brock Purdy brought up?" I'm like, "Because he has to beat Norman."
He could be.
Well,
there's no rules. Breece Hall.
Yeah, I mean, you can make an argument though too, but if you look back in the last so many years, how many have gone to specifically to receivers and running backs for the most part?
Because running backs, you can give it to them if they just have a monster year stat wise. Like Derrick Henry won it because he ran the ball 50 times against Auburn. Should have been criminal charges filed against Saban for that. But receivers have to not just catch the ball. I think they got to do a little, special teams work as well. You got to have that little extra, that little extra spice to your game, because they're always if you're a great wide receiver, I mean, look, Dante Smith was great this past year. He deserved it. But he was still splitting votes with Mac Jones. So there wasn't a guarantee, but it's not just catching the ball. It's what you do after the ball. How do you catch the ball? All these little things go into it. And you got to overcome regional biases of one region's going to vote for their guy. The South's always going to vote for the SEC guy, and so forth.
Okay. So, and I'm going to say this though, too, because you bring up this whole issue of bias though, too, because, I know with a lot of people give a lot of flack, especially within the Pac-12 sometimes, too, because of how late their games are at times, and that's, one of the other issues though, too, where it's kind of hard to see who sometimes the best players are, because by the time those games are going on, they're already in bed or something.
Or not just that, but you might have a noon kickoff game at 3:30 and everyone else is watching another game and they're not paying attention to it. Is tougher. That's historically been the case for the Pac-12. I mean, you look at the history, it's unless you're USC, it's really hard to break through that barrier to be a Heisman contender. Even Stanford, how many Heisman runner-ups did Stanford have with Christian McCaffrey and, Andrew Luck and who was the big old, H-back they had in 2009? That we played against. That was a runner-up.
Oh, I know who you're talking about.
He was a runner-up, but they had Stanford had 3 Heisman runner-ups, and part of that was a little bit of West Coast bias against them. So Oh God, it was on the tip of my tongue.
It's Toby Gerhardt.
I was about to say, yeah. You beat me to it.
Yeah,
I knew. I was like, you beat me to it. Yeah, the one thing that was good, our defense that year in 2009, really good defense. And
oh my gosh,
yeah, it's like we pretty much had like.
Oh, go ahead, Gavin.
You would have had that defense was if you had that sort of defense with maybe that 2017 offense though too, man, that would have been.
I was gonna say, put that
team,
just have them time travel to the year 2008, and no one will notice the difference.
Oh my goodness, I really.
We're gonna send you kids back in time to the year 2008. You mean a year ago? Yeah, you're gonna take the place of your counterparts.
Would you mean 2009 instead of 08?
No, like the 2009 guys are going to time travel 1 year prior to 08 and play in the national championship.
So you basically would replace them, especially with that Florida game, probably.
I would also go back in time and lock DeMarco Murray in the locker room for that opening kickoff, and then
against Missouri, yeah.
Or may just keep him blocked in there all game and say, you know what, you weren't going to play anyway, and we won the game just fine. So you got the flu. You're done. DeMarco, you got the flu. You'll be good to go by Florida. You'll be good to drink lots of fluids. You don't get stuffed at the goal line. And that, oh, God, it hurts so much.
Yeah, but you were there, though. That's why.
Of course. That's why it hurts. Of course, I was there. You want to watch a grown man cry in front of like 80,000 people?
You bring up a point. And Gavin, I want your answer too. What is the most painful game you have?
Oh, do we have to go there?
Oh yeah, we're going there. We are going there.
Why?
Okay.
Because we all have to share in the pain.
I don't know. They all hurt, not as equally, but
no, the one you have attended though.
Oh, attended?
Yeah, you have to have attended it though.
I mean, it was that one, I guess, because I attended the Bama playoff game. And I was like, well, that's over.
I'm sorry. I've only attended like 4 or 5 games in my lifetime. So, and
were all of them wins?
They were all wins.
That's fair.
Why are you not going to every game?
I live 2 hours away, man.
That's no excuse. You're not a real fan.
Yeah.
It's another debate I had tonight.
Like,
I would say, I would just say maybe like in general, if I maybe had like one loss in general, if anything, I would probably say that Georgia game, if anything, in the Rose Bowl was.
I have no idea what you're talking about. It never happened.
That game did not happen, even though they replay it everywhere. No. We were in the Orange Bowl that year. We won. We beat Virginia or something. It's all good. Yeah, exactly. We can claim a mythical national champion.
Baker won back-to-back. Baker, we were left out because of biases against the committee. Yeah, that's what happened.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I have to say, for mine, it's got to be that.
I had jury. Sorry. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead. You go ahead.
You know how bad that Rose Bowl was? I had jury duty the next day. I had to get my ass up. I couldn't be depressed all day in bed like I wanted to. I had to get up, drive downtown, get on like my cell phone was broken. So, or I didn't have access to it. Let me rephrase that. You have to get up your phone or you're in like the jury pool. So they had like a little computer lab where you go. I got on a computer that had Linux. And I got on Twitter. It had all those computers had freaking Linux. And I spent like an hour just going, well, yesterday, just like giving like my thoughts on a thread about we're not going to get any better until this. It's the saddest thing in the world. You're just on a Linux computer trying to get Twitter to work. But please, I apologize for interrupting.
No, you're fine. You're fine. I think for me, I've attended. There's 2 that stick out in mind. The first one that I attended was the either 2010 or 2011 where we lost the home game streak against Tech.
2011.
God, that one was absolutely
the rain delay, and then
okay. And here's a side note to this, and I am not kidding you. The Tuberville and everything. His cousin was my writing teacher in college. And I had to sit and listen to her brag for like 5 to 10 minutes in class.
Not only did we lose that game, we lost to one of like the dumbest senators we have going today, who doesn't know the 3 branches of government.
He doesn't know.
He doesn't know the 3 branches of government. And by the way, this is not a political thing. If any of the 100 senators didn't know what the 3 branches of government were, I would call them out for it. He doesn't know what they are. He's a part of one of them, but he doesn't know all 3.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right.
Why couldn't he get up and leave during that game instead of like a a banquet at like Texas Tech? He got up and took the Cincinnati job. Oh, he's a terrible piece of shit.
Hey, there's your one for the stream. No, but yeah, it was that 20. I forgot what again year.
2011.
God, that game sucked. The flip side of it, the one I viewed on television, I think I was just shell shocked on, and then I've just become numb since then because of it. It was when we went into Missouri, and then they beat us. I think it was a
2010.
Yeah,
2010 was Missouri. Yeah,
I was just like, how did you lose this game, guys? Like, how?
Okay, if I may, and I'm going to get a little strategic point of view here, it's that they were basically playing like I think it was like either a cover 2 or cover 3. No, wait, it was a cover 4, actually. It was a cover 4. And that middle of that field was open for, I don't know how, all game long and everything. You know.
Oh, so Mike Stoops defense.
It was actually, that was before Mike Stoops, you know, because it was, Venables was still there at the time. But yeah, it was like, you know, you basically are leaving the middle of the field open right there.
Just throw the ball to James Hanna. He's open.
Yeah. It's like, it was right in the middle of the field, was open all game long, and that's pretty much what's the defense right there.
Yeah, see, my dad always, you know, when I was much younger, like think like 16, 17, he was always like, any given day, any team can beat you. And after that one, I was just like, yeah, I can embrace that after that game, but really the Texas Tech game where it's like, yep, don't doubt it. Yeah, on paper they should beat them, but in reality,
you know what?
Any given day.
In hindsight, I would rather it have been a wacky, silly game like that ended that streak than what could have potentially happened the next year. And I know K-State won early on too, but could you imagine if we walked into that Notre Dame game with that home game winning streak intact? How obnoxious Notre Dame fans are.
Oh goodness.
I would.
You bring up a good point.
I would have found the nearest leprechaun and stepped on him. I would hunt down Smurf Village and burn it to the ground.
Well, you bring up a good point with that because that's almost like, what's the word, Schnodefreund or like
Schadenfreude.
Schadenfreude, like
it's where you enjoy someone's misery.
Yeah, it would be them again.
Like there has never been a game in the history of that stadium that the crowd wanted to win more, and I'm even including Nebraska in 2000.
Oh, I was there. We wanted that win.
No, they wanted to win that game more than anything.
I mean, if you want to talk about home crowds like going insane, we can talk about 2008 Texas Tech, but that crowd, the fans there was myself included.
If you're watching this
at the mouth,
if you're watching this after the fact and you're Catholic, turn it off now because let me tell you something about you people. Like,
oh boy.
Well, let me tell you something. Like when Notre Dame came in and they broke the 47 game winning streak, one of the most pompous things that team did is that they, in the visitors' locker room, they put on the chalkboard, is like, we won this game for all the Catholics in Oklahoma. And if I had a time machine, you know how mobsters poisoned Oklahoma when they played Northwestern that one time, like back in the 50s, because that's what happened. That's why they lost that game. Mobsters gave them food poisoning. It's like, I would have done some food poisoning myself for Notre Dame back in 1957.
Yeah, they did write that. Yeah.
Give me a Marty McFly outfit for Back to the Future 2 with like, the black jacket, the shades, and like the hat. Like, Doc, come in. That'd be me.
Well, you would say, I
have nothing against Catholics except for your pompous little school up in South Bend.
Oh my god.
We have about what I was looking at time. We have about 10 minutes. So Gavin, did you have anything on top of your head?
Oh, okay. This is gonna be so random and everything, but I wanted to share this little story with you because this happened in my hometown today. So basically, this was one of the craziest things I've seen. So basically, they were repainting the water tower that's like right near the football field and everything. And basically, it was supposed to say like Cardinal Country with a little Cardinal logo on it. However, I don't know what the heck happened, but the painter misspelled Cardinal, Cardnal. I am not joking. It is like, I was seeing it all over social media and everything. I'm like thinking to myself, oh no, if the education's going on in Oklahoma doesn't get more quote redneck quote as this and everything, it's like, I'm sorry, but you should put your head in shame after that sort of
It'd be nice if be nice to actually pay teachers in Oklahoma a fair
Oh, I actually did a documentary on that, believe it or not, though, too, as one of my senior projects. And, believe it or not, I, went pretty well and got some local media recognition as well. But,
Yeah,
I was.
I mean, I agree with you, Gavin and Sean. I mean, it's, whew, they got to pay him more.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think if like, and this is where I look at it though too. It's like if you look at some of the other countries, so too, from I think like some of the Scandinavia countries and other places around the world, they kind of put them at such a higher priority. Where I think like even like some of the medical professions are sort of like the blue collar, more blue collar than it is where teachers are more white collar.
This is where people watching the playback start clicking off.
Why are they all clicking at the one? Oh, yeah. Now,
so we started talking about like fair wages for teachers. It must be communist socialists
again.
Pinko liberals.
No, but
just me.
Hey, Gavin, you mentioned that. I did have a thought I wanted to throw out there. So it is a football one though. Here's my thought. Okay. I don't know if I'm an old on this one, okay? Because I might be an old, but I saw Spencer Rattler post about like we want the black alternative uniforms, and I'm on that boat still. I don't want black alternative uniforms. And there's no good uniform that OU looks good with black alternative uniforms.
Okay.
I didn't hear anything you said. I had to go take a break.
Well, it was sort of a convenient one for you, Sean, because we were basically talking about like black. Oh God!
Sorry, what? I couldn't hear you.
Exactly. He must have his opinions on it as well. So
no black uniforms. Everyone just black uniforms. Stop it. Look, it's not for me, but like Ohio State gave in and they look terrible. I'm sorry. You know who wins national championships is not black uniforms? Alabama. They seem to be doing pretty well. Just throwing that out there. You know who else doesn't do black uniforms? Clemson. They're winning natties. They seem to be doing all right. So I don't know. Like, listen, I was anti-Rough Rider initially. I love them now. I've embraced.
Really?
I am Rough Rider. I'm Team Rough Rider. I love the Rough Rider. Now I don't like the all red look. Don't like
that's
that.
Weird. See, I feel okay. Here's one.
I love the cream pants.
See, I think the best uniforms that OU has right now is the standard ones, but I really like their all whites. Like they're visiting all white unis. I think they call them
the traditional road. The traditional road whites are kind of my favorites too overall. But like something about that. Whether it's I love the red. I love the red. Bring the wood helmet. I know they do the white ones sometimes.
Yeah, they have the white ones, too, and they can kind of alternate the scheme with like whatever pants.
See, when we get the video game back in a few years, like, praise Allah. When we get the video game back in a few years, like hopefully we can have those uniforms on there, and you can just like you can have your own like no all reds. All reds are they just look weird. Like the all reds. The only one. Like I hated like what Nebraska tried to do like red jersey, red pants back in the 80s, and it didn't do them any favors.
I mean, the only team that I think that would even benefit from doing like the all color, it would probably be like Clemson whenever they're in their championship pants and jerseys and stuff like that. That's the only team I can think of right off the top of my head.
What makes them championship pants? Like
it's like basically like whenever they're going into like the ACC championship or whenever they're in a championship title, they go from white pants, and then once they get into that, then they go into orange pants.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. Well, that works for them because like they were that awful putrid color anyway, so might as well go all in with it.
I mean, that reminds me of Iowa State, where I think it's if they play like top 10 games, they wear a black jersey with it. But that's a new thing they wanted.
But that's my thing. Like everyone does black now. Like everyone, like it's like you, Louisville
Well,
black, like Miami does black, Florida State's doing black.
I think, if I might say, Sean, I think part of it though too was because part of that year, if I remember, doing the whole black jerseys and everything, was they also was doing the part of the tribute to Jack Trice, if I'm not mistaken, wasn't it? Or
but they still wear the black uniforms.
they still were?
Yeah.
Oh, I think it was the patch I was thinking about. That's what I was.
Yeah, I mean they wore them in the Big 12 championship.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking it was like I thought they were doing it like for a special season or something, because like most of the games that I usually saw beforehand though too, I didn't really see a whole lot of the black jerseys until recently.
I'm just, my whole point is don't do black, just do black. I mean, like I think the Rough Rider uniforms can, and people are gonna disagree with me. I think that when they're with cream pants, red jersey, God, what's my favorite combo? Maybe white helmet, red jersey, cream pants, might be the best combo.
No, I would
one
say
of the best combos in college football, actually.
I think I would gonna say the combo that I think was my favorite, and this goes back to 2019 with Baylor when they wore the white helmet, white jersey, with the white pants.
Oh, all white. Yeah.
Yeah, they went all white.
Look at that. That looks good too, as well. Yeah, they've grown on me. Like when I really started to like them, not the first year. It was 15 or
it was 2014, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was like the first year I remember.
Yeah, because 2014 was, when they introduced it out and everything, and of course that was that down year that they had. So.
It was 16 or 17. They had an early home game against West Virginia. I want to say it was a Stripe the Stadium game.
No, it was 2015.
That was 15. Okay, that was 15. Okay, it was 15.
Yeah, because 15. It was that West Virginia game before they got beat by Texas. Then.
Okay, but like I really that was like a a Joel Klatt call game.
Yeah, 2016 was the Stripe, but it was with the regular uniforms. So
okay, but there was a game against West Virginia where it was
that was 15.
Yeah, it was 15, and it was just such a hard-hitting, fun game to watch, and they were wearing those Rough Rider uniforms, and I just loved it.
Yeah, West Virginia made it close, but then they pulled out like in the third and fourth quarter. So
was that the game? Did they get a pump block in that game?
I think so.
Or is that later, another year? My mind, they're all mixed together because we haven't lost to West Virginia in the Big 12 yet. So
correct.
No, yeah, I'm like I said that 2015 I think was that Rough Rider uniform. Look, I'll be honest, I kind of keep like a dictionary of like uniforms and games, and like whenever they stripe out and all that crap and everything, I kind of keep it almost like an encyclopedia of everything.
Okay, dumb question for this, kind of the last of it for this one. Didn't they retire those though, the Rough Riders? Because I could have sworn that they said like 2019 was the final season for them, and I can't recall in 2020 them actually using them.
They better not.
No,
they were the Rough Riders last year.
What game? Because I cannot remember what game.
Big 12 championship game.
Did they?
Yeah, they were in Rough Riders in Big 12 championship.
Yeah, they were in Rough Riders in the championship.
Okay, because for some reason, maybe it was their certain style or something for it, like updating the look or something.
No, like Iowa State was in their black unis, and we were in our Rough Riders.
Right, yeah, that was
because Iowa State was the home team because they were technically in first place at the time.
Right, yeah, because they wore the black uniforms. Yeah.
So we were the road team in our Rough Rider road unis, and they were in the black. So, yeah, like don't retire those. Like, look, I know they're going to do new uniforms at some point, and there's going to be one. Look, listen, the day is coming when we're going to get the big video where the team is coming in for a meeting, and we got a surprise, and everyone's going to jump up and down for black uniforms. And you know what? It's something I'm going to have to accept as an old. Yeah. This is my last old take that I'm holding on to. I've gotten rid of most of my old takes. Like I've Rough Rider unis, all the old takes that I used to have. As I'm getting older, I've gotten rid of. This is the last one I'm holding on to with the death grip, but I know the day is coming, and I will accept it when it comes. As the players are happy and they play like champions today, today specifically, not yesterday, but today, I'll be in a good mood. I'll be happy.
Okay. I want to put something real quick, Sean, on this thought though too. So you do know that the OU basketball team and the softball team, wear black.
No idea what you're talking about. No idea what you're talking about. I know they wear black uniforms, but football's different. I don't have an attachment to uniforms with those particular sports. I just don't. Football's different. Like Bob Stoops always said, I ain't messing with that helmet. You know how many boosters are going to murder me if I mess with that helmet? Like he kept his word on that for the most part.
So, yeah. So think about it. If they decide to put a Conestoga wagon on there, though, too, will you lose your mind on that?
I don't think that's a good look. You know what would be a good look, though, honestly? In my opinion, like, disagree with me all you want. That's fine. But, like, I like the idea. Like, I love kind of like what Boise does, where they get the Bronco, but they make it, like, oversized.
Oversized on one side, yeah.
Yeah, do that with the OU logo, kind of like an oversized OU logo that covers most of the helmet. I think that would look kind of badass. If you do it right, it'll look really cool. Like on a matte helmet type of thing, I think you can make it work.
The only thing is, and I'm going to say this just kind of from that logo standpoint, and I'm just kind of using your flag as an example, though, too. It's like, I'm just kind of imagining that, though, too, and like that size and everything. It's going to be like, where you're going to be kind of like cutting it out to like where it's going to be like over, like right in the side of the head.
Well, if you do it the right way, it's like, there is proportions. Like, I don't think you make it too big, but like, it doesn't have to be like completely, but there's the right proportion, the right position you could put it where it would work, in my opinion. I think you need to have a graphic artist to do it, but like I think it could work on a matte helmet, something along those lines. I think you could really make it work and make it look really cool. But as for the wagon, like the Sooners kind of wagon logo thing, maybe I could warm up to that if it looks good.
It just doesn't look clean right now. That's the interlocking OU is simple, it's clean, it works. With the wagon, it's too complicated.
Like the alternate uniforms I liked in the past, like when Michigan State had like their Sparta uniforms, like with like the old style, like the gold helmet that's like it looks like it's been battle damaged and stuff. Yeah. Those look really cool. And then they came up with those really awful neon green uniforms with the terrible font that said, it's like, what were they thinking? It's like, no,
yeah,
the Sparta uniforms are awesome. Like, embrace those, but everything else just because I just hate the Ohio State black uniforms. It's like, ugh.
And I have to say, for the uniform, one I would like to see, and I don't know if it would work with an OU one, it would have to be presented in front of me. I am really a fan of the glossy helmets. I really do like how Oregon and Baylor had it. I don't know how it would work.
You want a sparkly helmet? That's what you want.
Yeah, I'll take a sparkly helmet. It looks clean if it's done correctly. I have to admit, Oregon's, when they have the like the wings on the side of it.
I'm opposite. I'm opposite. Give me instead of sparkly, give me matte. Give me a matte.
That's fair.
Yeah, and I'm just going to say that too, because it's like there's like only certain colors that you can only get away with, too. That's kind of the only issue though too. And
sparkly crimson, no.
Yeah, I'm just thinking like if anything, like if you're going anything like going for that sort of Oklahoma style. I mean, I would be fine if it was more like I would say more like like back to our heritage days or something like that, like a grind sort of look or something like that. That would be something I think would be interesting.
Some people want the old like 80s, 90s paperclip logo, and I'm like, nope.
No.
You don't want Clippy after we score a touchdown. Hey, I see you scored a touchdown. Would you like to know what that is?
I hate that paperclip logo because it reminds me too much of like Schnellenberger and Blake.
God rest Schnellenberger's soul.
Yeah, both of them are gone now. So I'll leave it at that. Schnellenberger will dance on his a little bit, but Blake not so much. Just that paperclip logo. It reminds me of like, let's let's watch Damon Parker rush for 200 yards and lose by 12. Yeah, that's OU football, ladies and gentlemen.
I got Hey, Sean, you mentioned the old take you have. That's the last one. Actually, I know you have another one. There's one actually I know of.
All right, what's my other old take that I can't recall?
The one that you said that where everyone's like, we need to put the home logo in the middle of the field and use that in the actual games.
Wait, what logo? What?
When they have the OU in the state of Oklahoma. Just the OU.
That's not an old logo. I don't think that's an old take. That's just a terrible idea that people have.
Oh, gotcha. Because I remember you're like, no,
that's not an old take. It's like, no, I hate that because it like my main problem is like my OCD hates it because when you technically the state is centered, but the OU logo is not, and that drives me insane.
Isn't the OU logo right now still not centered for it just because of interlocking?
Well, no, but it's as centered could be. It's right in the middle of the field. But when you put the state of Oklahoma because the panhandle screws it up. It's like the actual state is centered based on the length with the panhandle, but the actual OU logo inside the state, outlined, is not centered to the 50, and that drives me nuts.
It's like out the 30 or so.
It's not that far, but it just makes me like no. So if you want to call that an old take, fine, but like my OCD can't take that.
I thought it was I remember you talking about like how it looked weird with it, but they've also had some other ones where I was like, the home one looks the best, but I'm not a fan of the rest of them. Whatever they're escaping me.
Listen, the field has had like no logos for decades. They had a really small OU logo in the middle, like in the 50s, I think. But like having like big like midfield logos felt like it didn't become a thing till like the 80s, at least I think.
That's actually a good little sports trivia thing.
I think big midfield logos like Notre Dame never had one. Like, didn't they just now start having Notre Dame the logo in the middle of their field now?
I think they just started that.
They just started doing that recently because they used to be just a blank. Like you want to talk about old Notre Dame, like it's like no end zone, just like the basic, striped end zone and nothing in the middle, just like a bare bones, no giant video board. You want to talk about old, like Notre Dame were the king of olds for the longest time.
Yeah, that's, an interesting point.
I'm amazed they had stadium lights for night games all this time. It's amazing.
Yeah. They rarely did night games for the longest time.
I mean, they didn't change their scoreboard and stuff for that reason as well with it. They wanted to keep to the tradition and then
there's the same scoreboard that Newt Rockne used. We have a chore boy who climbs up there on a ladder and he takes down he puts up a new number every time Notre Dame score touchdown with a little pole there. There we go. Good job, Johnny. Hopefully it's not a windy day.
Man, that's something to talk about another time. But have you, at some point, we'll have to talk about when I worked baseball and being in the outfield on a windy day. Woo, that can scare you really fast, having to be strapped in and be like, hey, I want to be the cameraman. Didn't realize being on top of the scoreboard like 100 feet up. Oh, this is kind of terrifying with a 30-mile-an-hour wind.
Yeah, I think we're pretty much going to be pretty much about wrapping up though too. I think like whenever the next time we want to, next time we can do this and everything else, too, probably would like to maybe look at like a good recap of like all the sports and everything, from all the previous year though too. I would love to kind of recap on some of the stuff though too and get your guys' thought on that as well next time we get around.
Yeah, I know I want to plan another live stream here in about 2 weeks because OU Media Days or Big 12 Media Days are coming up. So I wanted to kind of
they're coming up this week.
Yeah, they are. You're right. I was thinking next week with it, but yeah, they're coming up really fast, and that could be a good time to kind of recap. I mean, it's still the dead zone.
I want to see Sark look into the headlights, look into the abyss, and see if he blinks, just like Herman did, because Herman stared into the abyss and he blinked
many times.
Problem is, it's like they got too many chefs in there and just not enough cooks.
Oh, there's so many stories.
You know how many times Herman blinked looking to the abyss? Some.
Yes. All right. All right, guys. This was a good live stream. So we'll wrap up right here and we'll join each other again here in about 2 weeks for Media Days. And anything that happens from there. I think there's some recruiting coming up. I think it's Malachi Nelson. He's supposed to announce on the 17th. So we'll be able to talk about
he's committing to the Russian Federation. No, he dropped like it was adorable. That kid is trying to pull
Like,
a fast one.
What he
dropped,
like 5?
yeah,
and it was
seven. He dropped
7.
7. He dropped 7 schools. It's adorable that he is giving hope to all 6 of those schools not named Oklahoma. It's just adorable. He's doing that, giving all those like, hey, we're in the top 7 for. No, you're not. So
It's for hype.
Malachi
Yeah.
Nelson, Trayon Webb, and Caden Helms are all going to commit to Oklahoma. In a week from now. I think the day before it's Helms and Trayon are going to commit, and then Malachi is going to commit too. So expect 3 in the next week.
Also,
Sweet.
another player though too, I really want to keep an eye out though too. Gabriel Brownlow Denny though too. That's one player though too. I've all kind of been keeping my eye on.
Oh, that's going to be a fight, tooth and nail fight to the bitter end, my friend. So
yeah.
But hey, if we get him,
Dindy is going to be a fight. So prepare.
But if we
yourself.
get him, it's going to be great. I'll add in one more thing, and then we'll wrap it up. When you mentioned all the recruiting, we can talk about this in the next live stream and stuff. You know, something I'm really enjoying as like an OU holiday, I guess, and I noticed it this year was it seems like all the big recruits are now starting to like recruit on July 4th, like announce it. I really do like OU picking that up and making that such a huge kind of deal with it. And we'll talk more about that in the next live stream. I just wanted to throw that out there because it was in one of my notes thing of just it's just a neat thing. I think it's unique to OU with it and ties really well with like Chant barbecue and everything.
You're like Marge Simpson. I just think it's neat.
It's neat. Everything is neat. So, all right, guys, thank you for joining, and we'll see y'all then here in about 2 weeks for it. Y'all have a good one.
All right. See ya.
See ya. Boomer sooner.
Boomer.